Spiders Will Eat Your Face, available on Amazon Prime, Instant Watch, and Amazon.com. Spiders Will Eat Your Face, the documentary about the history of pet tarantulas in America. That is Spiders Will Eat Your Face, the movie on Amazon.
Yo, Steve.
Yes, sir.
Do you remember that time one of our friends took shrooms in college?
Oh, God, yes. Wait, which time?
The time where he, you know...
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
I think we need to talk. Welcome back. I'm your host, Steve.
I'm Nathan.
And this is B over here. I'm not actually Steve.
What's up?
That's Steve. I'm Nate. There's a candle. We got Brienne lit in the corner over there, giving off a good scent.
I must say, Brienne is lit.
Yes.
But what's also lit is a story about our friend Sam.
Good segue.
Yes, very good segue. So Sam was our good friend in college. He lived in our dorm, and he was like 3 doors down. Two doors. Okay, 2 doors down.
You just wanted to say the name of a band.
For pretty much. Well, let's just imagine. But he was pretty cool. He's into retro games, and we played
Blow-up dolls.
Yeah, pool. We played a lot of pool with him.
We played a lot of billiards.
We also smoked a lot of weed and shit with him.
Yeah.
Pretty fun.
Drug experimentation.
We got him into weed, which is kind of sad, but also awesome.
Into weed, out of your clothes. Don't know what that noise was.
Anyway, so he wanted to try shrooms, and apparently he had done shrooms like once in the past, but he's like, I didn't really feel it. It wasn't that great. I want to try it again. Apparently, what's weird about that though is he didn't do weed before that, and I know some people will cringe. Do weed to get over yourself. So he hadn't done weed, but he had done shrooms, kind of. So he was able to secure some shrooms from some person on campus. And his plan was to take them. And
fucking good plan.
You could sell them, I guess. Right?
I guess. That was my thing. I would be pissed.
Could level up and turn to... But, so he wanted a trip sitter, or maybe I advised him to have a trip sitter. So I planned to be it because I like trip sitting. That's kind of what I did in high school a lot. And that was my plan. And Steve, were you in on this plan?
I think I walked into it.
You walked into it. So it was me and Steve kind of, I think, hanging out with him at first, and he was starting to come up, and he was playing some video games, and eventually his roommate arrived, and his roommate's girlfriend. We'll call him...
The two.
The two? Okay, we'll call him the two. So his roommate's girlfriend would kind of just live with them. Like, they had a bunk bed and stuff, and she just kind of lived in there. She naturally lived in her own room, which is kind of annoying for him. But, so, I at the time, I was into, like, this kind of hypnosis type thing, and I like hypnotizing people. And I was actually successful with it a bunch of times, which is surprising. So, my whole thing was to be like a shaman and kind of guide him through this trip. And so, I had him lay down, and I had him, relax. I'm like... I did the whole like hypnosis meditation type thing, and had him like get his toes relaxed, his legs relaxed, and I'm like, okay, just imagine you're melting into the bed and trying to get these kind of crazy kind of effects, because these effects you can experience while you're sober, if you're under the guide of a good hypnotist or you're in that kind of state of mind. So he was like kind of having this like kind of really interesting kind of time, like, oh, this is weird, this is interesting, and then his roommate, the two. They were just like, oh, say the spiders all over him. Say this, blah, blah.
Say spiders will eat your face.
And it's like, no, don't say that. You're going to ruin this trip. And I think Steve got really mad at them.
Yeah, definitely. I don't like the idea of ruining somebody's trip. First off, he paid money for this experience. Second, he was trying to have like a good time, and they were trying to fuck with him for their own pleasure, and that's just fucked up to take advantage of somebody like that.
Yeah, I was really kind of confused because I'm like I couldn't really put myself in that point of view where I would like say, just spiders on you. Like, I'm like, what are they doing? It's trying to like, do you think he's gonna enjoy this? Like, what was the point? But the point was to kind of mess with him, which I think wasn't very good.
They just wanted to see a reaction, but I went on to tell them that there was a story about a guy who one of his buddies told him while he was on acid or shrooms that he was covered in spiders, and the guy panicked and went up to the roof and jumped off the roof to get rid of the spiders and died, and that kind of scared them out of doing it ever again.
Is that story true?
I have no idea, but the thought behind it is.
I know there was these drug people that came to our school one time, and they talked about how these girls are on shrooms, and they're like, oh, there's spiders on us, let's cut us ourselves, and start cutting themselves or something.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it's probably true, but yeah.
You dare to believe.
Yeah, I was a nurse, so we can't believe nurses. But anyway, so at some point, I ended up leaving the room because I was hungry and wanted to go get something to eat. So I left Steve there, I believe.
Absolutely, yep. And while Nate was gone, we just kind of hung out. I was asking Nick, like, tell me exactly what you're feeling and stuff. And Nick was laying on the bed, and he was explaining everything. We were listening to some Pink Floyd and just chilling. I was laying on the floor, and he was laying on his bed. And we were just hanging out and having a good time. He was having a very spiritual experience.
Was his roommates there at that time?
Yeah. They were just kind of doing their own thing up on the top bunk. And that's kind of the way that I was hoping it would go, because they were being douchebags and I was not about that. They kind of quieted like the second you left, because I had yelled at them so much earlier.
Yeah, I think Sam's biggest complaint about his roommates were that it's like I'm okay with you guys fucking in the room, but just get rid of the smell. The smell's awful. But disregarding that, eventually I get back, and I'm not sure if Steve was there or just leaving.
Yeah, my mom and sister were coming up to pick me up. We lived about 3 to 4 hours south, and they were coming up to pick me up for some sort of holiday or something like that. Maybe it was somebody's birthday. And then, so I was waiting because I was going to call them to find out how much longer. And I was going to walk out and leave the roommates there with Nick, but Nick kept telling me, don't go. So I stayed and waited for you to return. And then once you got back, I said, Nate, I'm going to step out of the room. I'll be back in just a minute. But I got to call my mom and find out where they're at. So then I stepped out of the room once you came back.
Right, and I don't know what was happening, because I may have left at that point to go to my room for a little bit. I think I was there for a few minutes. Then I think I left my room and ate some food, because I'm like, okay, I gotta eat this food.
I do distinctly remember while I was talking to my mom, you coming back in the room, and me kind of being like I was on the phone with her, but like looking at you and thinking, why the fuck is he back here leaving Nick alone with them? Those guys are assholes. Yeah. But I'm like, he knows what he's doing.
Yeah, and I thought maybe we straightened. I don't know. I couldn't really perceive that mindset. But anyway, so I go back in the room, and Sam is kind of standing up, and his roommate's girlfriend's punching him like in the arm, and it's like, what the fuck is going on here? And Sam's like, oh, it feels so good. Pain feels so good. And it's like, what? And he's like, oh yeah, he really likes pain. It feels good. No, don't punch him. No, he likes it. It's like, yeah, it feels good, so good. Oh my god, this is ecstasy. And it's like, no, this isn't good. Let's stop punching him. And it's like, oh, why? And it's like, no, stop. This is not good. And it's like, well, so Sam talks to me, and it's like, Sam's like, but it feels so good. Like I could just punch him. It's so good. Like he was like really like kind of like having an energetic high, I would say. Very energetic experience. He's like, it feels so good, man. I don't want to do something. I want to punch something. I'm going to punch the wall. And it's like, no, Sam, think about the consequences. And the walls were made of like sheetrock. So if he punched the wall, he'd probably break it, or at least, have some damage. And that would be kind of awkward to kind of repair. So Sam, think about the consequences. And he's like, the consequences, right. And then before I can react, he kind of goes down to the ground and starts punching the floor like 2 times as hard as he can. Boom, boom. It's like, oh no. And his roommates are like, whoa, what? And like they're more entertained than anything. It's like, no, this is not good. And he's like, oh man, this feels so good. Oh great. Oh. And he was in complete ecstasy for like 3 minutes. And he's just kind of like, it's almost like he was like having like a intense orgasm, and it was really kind of weird. Oh no, all right, calm down, you're gonna have to relax. He's like, it feels so good, And then the trip started to turn.
Hey, Pepin, how do you feel about documentaries?
They're great. Great way to learn, great way to educate yourself. Same kind of thing, though. But what do you ask?
Well, I figured you would love them knowing you.
Oh.
They're usually not my go-to. I kind of find them boring, but honestly, I watched one recently called Spiders Will Eat Your Face, and it's about the history of pet tarantulas in America. Changed my entire perception about documentaries. It involved stop motion, it was passionate, it was funny, well-researched, most importantly, kept me entertained.
Okay, definitely gonna watch it, but where can I find it?
It's on Amazon, perfect 5-star rating.
5-star rating, wow. And it's called Spiders Will Eat Your Face?
Yes, exactly. Spiders Will Eat Your Face. I tried looking for Spiders Will Eat You Out, but it wasn't on Amazon.
Oh, damn, well, okay. I'm gonna go on Amazon right now and check it out.
Just before the trip started to turn, I came back into the room. Sam was laying on the bed, staring at his hand with a giant-ass fucking smile on his face. And I'm like, what's going on? And Pepin told me that he had just punched the floor twice as hard as he could. And the floor was like linoleum. Like, it was really hard. And I was like, oh. And isn't he hurt? Do we need to do something? No, he actually likes it. Like, oh.
I didn't say that.
You didn't?
No, that's what his roommate said.
Okay, that makes sense.
Because I was like, because I knew where this trip was going, because I was trying to get them to stop, and the whole idea of pain, like, you might feel good now, but that, the feeling catches up with you. He might be in euphoria right now, but, that euphoria is going to dissipate once his brain starts getting the signal, oh, this hurts. So, sure enough, did you have to leave at that point or something?
Nope, I was there when it started to turn.
Okay, started to turn. And he's like, oh man, this isn't good. I'm dying. He thought he was dying. And he kept on going, this is not good. I'm dying. What's happening? I missed the train. I missed the train. And like this was like halfway in, we started talking about missing the train, and it was like I was almost about to crack up right there, because like this is like some like next level meta bullshit going on. Like what, is this a metaphor for something? Did I miss something? I missed the train here, train of thought, and and he was in a really bad state, and he just kept on thinking he was dying, and at some point Steve had to leave for some reason.
I remember kneeling down next to him, and I'm like, Nick, I gotta go. I'm gone for the weekend. And he was like, no, don't go. You're like my father. And I'm like,
oh yeah.
I'm like, I'm not your father. He's like, yes, you're like my father, and my roommate, he's like my mother. And I'm like, wait, what? I'm like, it's okay, your Uncle Nate's here.
It was kind of strange, and I was trying really hard to get him through this bad part of his trip, because his hand was broken. Like, I didn't know his hand was broken, but I assumed his hand was broken, or at least part of it. And so I'm just like, okay, how do I get this back? And I was trying super hard, and I'm pretty good at this kind of stuff, but it wasn't really working. And then his roommates, they were kind of just like, oh no, is he alright? Like, oh, what's happening? Oh god, this is kind of like, I don't know. What was their opinion about that, if you remember?
I have no idea. At this point, I left.
Yeah.
I left shortly after he busted his hand. And I mean, I was gone. So whatever you tell from here on out is news to me.
Yeah, I think, I don't know. It's hard for me to remember what their opinion was, because I don't think I was really too concerned about them. But I think they're kind of like, oh, we kind of fucked up there. Like, it's like, yeah, you did. But I was just trying to get in like a good state of mind, and eventually, I don't know why it took me so long, but I'm like, okay, Nick, let's go to my room, because I needed to get him away from them, because maybe it would cheer him up a little bit. And then, we go into my room, and mine and Steve's room, and it's like within like minutes, he was like, oh god, this hurts, but I feel a lot better. It's the environment, I don't know, but it's a lot chiller in here. It's like the environment's a lot better, and it's just like I feel a lot better in here, like. And then we just started like talking about philosophy and life and stuff like that. And it's actually really, I don't know why, but I really like talking to people on mushrooms, because you always have like really kind of cool, free-flowing conversations that just kind of intersect with everything. And that's kind of how my brain works in a way, like just naturally. So it's like we had these crazy awesome, like, just life, heartfelt conversations, and it's like we're like real bros at that moment.
I was so concerned all the way home. I'm 99% sure I called you at some point and was like, so how's Sam doing? Oh, he's good now. We're just talking about philosophy. And I'm like, oh, thank God. And I felt so much better. I felt so guilty for leaving. Like, his dad left him.
God. I could make a bad joke.
I think that's sad that he had to leave his environment of what is his room to go to your guys' room just to feel okay.
Well, to be fair, even it may not have had anything to do with the roommates. It may have had to do with that's where he got hurt, so he was associating the feelings of pain with the area he received the pain in. But it was probably the roommates.
I'm pretty sure it's the roommates, because...
maybe a mix of both.
Yeah. But also, we're kind of dumb in a way, because, like, we never had that many people in our room, like, to hang out, but we tried to make the room, like, a cool hangout area. Like, we were like, yeah, man, we can bring girls in here, we can bring, like, cool dudes and stuff, hang out, play video games.
We had, like, 11.3 surround sound.
And it's like, oh, yeah, you know, if they want to grab some drinks, we have our little refrigerator right here. Extra drinks in case someone wants one.
And that's where you chilled the Sobe bong that you made?
Yep, it was homemade and with a test tube, so I drilled into the glass with, a drill. It took me a while, and I stole a test tube from the chemistry class. This is the one time I stole it. I was an A student. And so I kind of got this, test tube in there, just kind of poked at the bottom, and got a good enough fit where it was airtight. I had to use a tiny bit of glue, but it was on the outside, and the water covered it, so it was safe. And that was, the bong was named Sir Hits-A-Lot.
Mm-hmm. And it was made of an old Sobe bottle back when Sobe used glass.
What's amazing about this bong, though, is that people, like, had, like, real bongs, and they'd use this bong, and you're like, dude, this bong hits like a champ. Like they're amazed by how well this bong hit, and some people actually wanted it.
The nice thing about it, too, was that the Sobeys had a can, like, the opening to it was big enough that you could fit ice in it. Like normal, like a lot of bongs, you can't. And when you're using, like, small, like, bubblers and stuff, you can't fit ice in them, but the Sobe was perfect.
And it had a really good ability to milk. I mean, I think you can milk, like, any bong, really, but I don't think that's the lip of it, like, the kind of lipped up, so we could, like, milk this thing like crazy, and we'd do it in the dorm room, and we'd have, like a row of, like, a circle, like 6 people or something, and so I'd milk it, and then just pass it from person to person to person, and then you'd take the last hit, then you'd milk it for the next person, just go on, and you wouldn't even take a hit, you'd just, like, milk it for the next person, because, the problem with bongs is they're slow if you do them wrong. This is why people like joints. Joints you can pass, take a hit, pass, take a hit, pass. But if you do bongs the way we did, we milk it and just kind of pass it around real quick, you can get high super quick with very little weed.
Because a lot of people, they'll, instead of, like, cornering it when you're lighting the bowl so that you maximize the weed by milking what little bit you're hitting, a lot of people would just hit the entire bowl, and that wastes all of the weed because then you're burning the top layer. And then to get to the bottom, you have to smoke through the burn instead of burning straight down on a corner of it. And we could corner it, and we would get like 5 or 6 hits out of a single bowl just by going around the outside. And the final one, you hit the whole bowl, and then you get the beastly one, and it's after you're already high. So you can hit way bigger hits. We had a very, very science technique down pat to getting everybody high.
And you wouldn't want to milk it too much to the point where people couldn't take the hit, but you would want to milk it enough so that it wasn't, like, too harsh, but not too light. Enough for everybody. I'm
not good at at jumping to promoting ourselves based off of what somebody just said.
And what's important about taking hits is you should hit on us on our Patreon.
Hit on us or hit us up. Whichever you feel like.
I'm also on Tinder, tinder.com.
/ Nate Pepin.
I don't know if that works like that. I think it's just an app. Just find me.
Just find Nate on Twitter. Twitter.Tumblr.
Tumblr? What the fuck is Tumblr?
Tumblr.tum.
Oh, shit, man. But, no, seriously, hit us up on twitter.com/WNTD1 or facebook.com/We Need to Talk Show.
We're also on Patreon. Just type in We Need to Talk, and you will find us. A lot of exclusives on there.
And, if you're in the mood for a documentary...
Spiders will eat your face. Spiders will eat your face. Available on Amazon Prime.